welcome to Kodiak Life, and today I'm going to talk about an idea of what to do with scraps. So as you can see, I have some scraps here from different sewing projects, and the idea that I'm going to share with you is how to make this really cute little zipper pouch. So here's one zipper pouch that I made, and I think this zipper pouch where you have the end tabs looks much more professional than this zipper bag here that does not have the tabs. Now this one without the tabs, I can say is a lot faster to sew, and the one with the tabs does take a little bit longer. So the first thing that I do is I take a look at my fabric. I have these little pieces, and I just play with, what's going to go together. So I definitely know that this fabric here would look really nice with some of this leftover denim. So this right here could be a group. So I kind of just start to group my fabric. I have this really beautiful animal print, and that would probably go really well also with a piece of denim, or it could even look really pretty with the blueberry and this little bit of purple. I like the way that looks, so that could be a set. So I kind of start to just go through and kit my fabric. Like here's some blueberry, so I have to decide, well, what would look really cool with the blueberries. That looks pretty nice there together, so that could be a set. I have this beautiful little strip of this yellow sunflower. Probably this light blue fabric. That would be a good set. Now, I don't have very much of this here. I'm going to just set it to the side. I think, let's see, this would look really cool. That's a nice look there. So I just start to, arrange my fabric. So here, I don't think I like that together. And sometimes you end up with some pieces that aren't perfect matches. So that's my first step. Then the next step is so if I'm going to use these two pieces here, I'm going to just square this fabric up. So what I mean by that is this piece here, you can see it's not perfectly square. And this does work out so much better if everything is pretty square. I get my rotary cutter. So I'm going to square this up. It's about 6. Oops. So that's the first step, is just square up your fabric. Looks pretty good. And then I was going to use this piece here, which I think would look pretty nice. Actually, I have two of these pieces. And I could put one, so I only need that much. So if I want it just to be this wide here, then I could use basically half of that fabric. So a lot of it's just kind of like putting a puzzle piece together on how to make these little pouches. And I think that they're really fun. So often what I'll do is, you know, I can be listening to a book on tape or some music. So the next step is for this little pouch, which I'm probably only going to get one pouch, is I'm just going to sew these pieces on at 1/4 of an inch. Actually, I might make it a 1/2 inch because that'll look really nice when I press the seams open. Okay, so I went ahead and at a 1/2 inch sewed those two pieces on and gave it a press. So you want to find the middle part. So I fold my fabric and I'm going to want to line up my edges here on both sides, so you can kind of see what that looks like. All right, so I like to use just a quilting square here, so I can see this is a 5.5 by 5.5 quilting square. So I can see, okay, that's what I'm going to end up with there. Kind of like that look right there. Or it's a little bit of both. So you decide how you want it to look. And I'm just going to cut it out. Now sometimes, depending on the size of your fabric, you can get a couple of these little tiny coin purses. And so that's why I don't really have a pattern, because this is a fun creative project where you're looking at your different pieces of scrap and deciding what goes together. And look, so what's nice is, see, I have some extra here. And this right here, so I'm going to need some for my tabs. So I'm going to make these my tab pieces here for my zipper tabs. And so the zipper tabs need to be about 1.5 inches, 2 inches wide. So that's going to be sewn on here, and I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. So, and then, so I have 2 zipper tabs, and I'm going to use this piece here to make my little holder, my connecting strap. So now I need to find another piece of scrap fabric. Here's a little bit of muslin that I had left over from a project. And I'm just going to do the same here. I'm just going to kind of situate this little piece of muslin. Looks like I need a little bit more. Perfect. So here in Kodiak, I know it's June 2nd, and this is like our 4th day of almost 24 hours a day rain. And my, excuse me, my husband and I are working outside. He's out there right now. We're trying to build a chicken coop. This is like a mansion though. I call it a palace chicken coop. Okay. All right. Oops. Still did not come off. There we go. All right. So, in my big mess here, I have some lining fabric. I have my 2 external pieces that we just made. I have 2 little pieces that I'm going to use for my zipper tape, and then another little piece that's going to turn into the small strap. So I know that this is 5.5 inches wide because I used my quilting square. So for my tape, I measure 1 inch shorter. So if that's 5.5, this tape needs to be 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5. So right here. So I use a different pair of scissors for cutting my zipper tape. So I have scissors that I only use for cutting fabric, zipper tape scissors. So here is my zipper tape, and I'm going to need to put on my zipper pull. And I have this really neat little jig that I use. And you're also going to need a lighter or a candle. So for me, and I do have a lot of different colors of zippers, but I've come to the conclusion that really, if I just have one color, I mean, you can kind of have just too much zippers, too many zippers. All right, so I open it up. I'm going to kind of put this at an angle so you can see what's happening here. Put both of the tips in the zipper tape, and I pull. And I have my zipper on there. Look at that. Okay, so you're going to want to take your lighter and burn both ends. There we go. So these little pieces of fabric, as long as they're reasonably square, they're going to work just fine. So you can see this is about 1 3/4 inches by 2 inches. So I'm going to take you to the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you how I put on these little end pieces. So you're going to take one of your little rectangles. You're going to turn it wrong side down towards the zipper teeth, and at about 1/4 inch you're going to sew across. And I go nice and slow over the zipper teeth, and then I also go backwards. So that's the first step here. Then you're going to want to flip this over, and you can see that I have way more material than I need, and that's fine, you know, because what I'm going to do is I only need to have enough to fold over and fold again, so that you can see that I really have too much. So I just trim that off. That's fine. I can fold over and fold over. Make a nice little sandwich. And as you can see, I did not have to spend a lot of time, you know, measuring to make sure my little pieces were absolutely perfect. Under the machine. Now, if you hold your threads back, that'll stop that bunching look that sometimes people have. So I'm pulling back on my threads, and I'm just sewing across that. Nice and slow. And you do not need to backstitch. You can if you want to, but remember, this zipper is going to be sewn onto the fabric, so it's going to get stitched over. And then I just take my scissors and I come along the edge and I trim that up. So I'm going to do the exact same to the other side, and then I will have my zipper prepped. So this is the zipper prep part. Okay, so I'm still here at the sewing machine, and the rest I'll probably just do while I'm sitting down here at the sewing machine. So here's my zipper that we prepped. I always just make sure it works really nice. I have my little loop, so it was just that small piece of scrap. I folded in half, then half to make a small strap. I like to put a little name tag that I made this little item. I have our fabric for the outside and our fabric for the lining. So you take one piece of your external fabric. You're going to line your zipper up. You can kind of see that it's equally lined up here, where there's the same amount on both sides. Then you're going to take a piece of your lining fabric. So, and of course that's teeth down on the zipper. Take your lining fabric, put it right on top, and you're making this nice little sandwich. That's that little piece that didn't get perfectly cut. So you can see how that sandwich comes together. Now, you can also, if you want to, use some of the double-sided sticky tape. Make sure that you're buying the double-sided sticky tape that is water-soluble for sewing. So you can, please do not use regular tape. All right, double-sided sticky tape. So now you need to have your zipper foot on. And you're just going to come forwards. I'm going to do a little bit of back stitching. everything right up against the teeth. So the other thing I'm not sure that I mentioned is this is number 5 zipper tape that I'm using. But you could use number 3 zipper tape also. All right. So you can see that step right there. Usually just trim these little threads off as I go. Okay, for both pieces. Now you can take this over to the iron. I find that doing a little finger pressing is just fine. Now I'm going to come along and do a top stitch. Now you'll notice that I did not even use any interfacing for this project. So I think that it really, for this small of a project, you could use some scrap interfacing if you wanted to. Okay, I have my top stitch. And this is the step we're at right now. So now I'm going to repeat the same thing. All right, so here's my next piece. I'm going to want my teeth side down. And I'm going to start to make that sandwich. So you want the same distance on each side. And what's nice is that the pieces should line up pretty well here. And then take your other piece of lining fabric. Now it would be the right side down. The nice thing about this muslin is really both sides are about the same. Okay. Oops. Okay, realign this here. For my sandwich. There we go. So you can see how I'm sandwiching that in there. So all 3 pieces. Right, then I'm gonna do my sew on my zipper. Just make sure that everything's lined up. There's my zipper head right there. Now I do, because I'm sewing on the zipper, I am doing some back stitching. So I've told you that there are some parts here that you don't really have to back stitch. I'm gonna have to move my zipper head out of the way and pull that back. So I'm going to pull both the external fabric, my main fabric, and my lining. And do the same thing where I bring it back, straighten it all out. a nice finger press, and then I'm going to top stitch. Now usually I top stitch at stitch length of 3, but because this project is so small and I'm not using any interfacing, I just leave it the 2.4 stitch length on my machine. All right. We are almost done with this project. So the last step is you're going to want to make sure that you have your zipper opened. You're going to want to pull the 2 main fabric pieces together and your 2 lining pieces together. I line up my 2 pieces of fabric. Remember, we used some miscellaneous pieces that I had around, some scrap fabric. Do the same over here. Line those up. Here's my zipper, and I'm going to push my zipper up. How often I push it down? I'm going to push it up. And I'm going to make sure that these 2 pieces of fabric are lined up. And I'm going to put a little clip on there. The same on this side. So I'm get you a good view. So here's the zipper right in there. And I put a clip. I'm going to take my little strap, fold it in half, and you can really decide wherever you want to place it. I mean, I'm going to place it right there. And put a little clip. Then this is the name tag. There's several different styles. This is one that you can sew into the seam. So I'm going to sew it in about right here. Trying to get this, there we go, a little more organized. All right. Okay, so we're all organized. So remember that zipper, we're going to just sew on a 1/4 inch on each side of the zipper. So you want to leave a small place in the bottom on your lining fabric where you're going to turn your project right side out. And then we'll do some back stitching. But what I like about this project is, you know, you can be so creative. I mean, it's a simple zipper bag. You usually go back stitch right at the zipper to give it some extra strength. And I do some back stitching at that little connector strap. But these are fun, easy little projects, and what's neat about this scrap busting project is that you're going to end up with all these cute little coin purses that are all going to be different. And that is the artist in you. Do some back stitch right there. And this is my little tag. So this sewing machine that I'm using is, I just love this sewing machine. It's a Janome. It's the 8200 QCP machine. All right. And then I'm going to trim right here. This is my small little connector strap. And you can trim on your corners. Here's another thing that I do to recycle is your dishwasher pods. I just use these as trash cans. Make great recyclable trash cans. So at this point we're ready to turn. And I left my opening pretty small. Okay, look at that. So I'm going to go grab a little chopstick. Poke those corners out. So it'd be fun in the comments if people would leave, like, what do you do when you're sewing? Like, sometimes I listen to music, but often I listen to Audible. I like mysteries. See, I'm just poking those corners out. Right down here on the bottom where we turned our project right side out. I'm just going to close that up. Alright, so we are finished with our project here. And I'm not quite sure, hopefully got most of that. So it looks like my GoPro turned itself off. So look how cute this little zipper pouch turned out. And then you just want to take it to the iron. And iron that up. Look at that. Beautiful. I hope you enjoyed sewing this little scrap buster with me. And I hope I gave you some great ideas. If you like this, I hope that you like and subscribe and please share. Have a wonderful day.